Hello? Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un ou il y a personne? Bon, s'il y a personne, c'est pas grave. Parce qu'on va quand même lancer. Bonjour, bonsoir, peu importe. Ça fait plaisir de se retrouver, puisque on va faire un... On va suivre la révélation du gameplay de Life is Strange Double Exposure, qui sortira, je crois, en octobre, je crois, ou septembre, je sais plus. Là, on aura la date de toute façon après. Il me semble que c'était octobre, il me semble, 29 octobre ou un truc comme ça. Et du coup, on va avoir un peu de gameplay et des interviews des développeurs et aussi ils vont nous parler un peu de la narration du jeu. Et voilà. Et du coup, ça va durer une bonne 45-50 minutes à peu près. Et ensuite, on se retrouvera tout de suite après une vidéo de 6-7 minutes sur Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Je sais qu'il y en a beaucoup qui l'attendent. Et on va regarder ça parce qu'ils vont montrer des nouveaux modes de jeu. Enfin, les modes de jeu qu'il y aura dans le jeu, du coup. Bref, sans plus attendre, on va donc commencer par la conférence de Life is Strange Double Exposure. Donc c'est parti. Alors, tac, 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 tac. Du coup, tout est en français. Donc voilà. Donc c'est parti. Et je crois que tout au début, on va se taper le trailer. Donc pour ceux qui ne l'auront pas vu, ben, ça sera un rappel à l'ordre, on va dire. Je regarde si juste le live va bien. Tout va bien. Ça a l'air d'être bon. Donc c'est parti. Let's go. Je bug un peu quand même.
Coming up in this Life is Strange Double Exposure Reveal livestream. All you need to know about the game. Learn more about this thrilling supernatural murder mystery from Deck 9 developers Jonathan Stauder and Felice Kwan.
There are no footprints, there's no weapon. Police are completely stumped as to how it could have happened.
Discover Max Caulfield's incredible new ability to shift between two parallel timelines.
Which comes in really handy when you're a detective and you want to eavesdrop and snoop and track suspects.
Welcome Hannah Tell, the actor behind Max.
She doesn't know what could happen. It could even kill her to try to use her powers again.
Whoa.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
And to cap it all off, our world premiere of extended gameplay. So get comfy, grab some snacks, and get ready to dive into this all-new adventure in the award-winning Life is Strange series. This is Life is Strange Double Exposure.
It's been 3 years since the release of Life is Strange True Colors.
Ah ouais,
Since
déjà?
then,
Oh
the
vache.
team at Deck 9 Games have been hard at work on a game, a story and a world worthy of the return of Max Caulfield, beloved star of the very first Life is Strange.
I've been here before.
We knew that this had to be something special. We knew we had to respect the 2 unforgettable endings to the first chapter of Max's story, while also crafting something new. Something fresh that echoed and acknowledged Max's past challenges, even as it moved her personal story forward. Welcoming in new players from the very beginning, while giving fans the story they didn't know they wanted. The team have been collaborating, along with our partners at Square Enix External Studios, to bring Max and Caledon University to vivid life. And we couldn't have done it without Hannah, Tell, and the rest of our stunning cast, whose performances elevate and bring nuance to every moment of our story. Together, we've built for you a supernatural murder mystery.
What is this?
Packed full of twists, intrigue, and heart that still delivers on every aspect of Life is Strange's DNA. Meaningful emotional choices driven by your connection to other characters. A diverse and complex cast that reflects the world around us in all its joy, sorrow, and anxiety. Romance, humor, and light even in the darkest of circumstances. For those of you who have played every Life is Strange to date, we can't wait to welcome you
Pas
back.
tous. Mais la
And
plupart.
for those of you curious about Max and her new adventure, we're delighted to have you join us. Welcome to our deep dive reveal of Life is Strange Double Exposure.
Ok, let's go.
I swore
voilà,
I'd never use my power
trailer.
again.
Ceux qui l'auront pas vu, bah, moi je l'ai vu, donc ça va.
But 2 nights ago, I found my friend's body in the woods. I don't know who I can trust, or who trusts me. But my friend Safi is dead. So why can I still hear her voice? Focusing my
Ça
power,
bug pas mal quand même le live, je
I
trouve.
somehow shifted into a parallel timeline. Here, Safi is still alive. The danger stalks our every step. And only I can
vois pourquoi ça bug,
investigate
mais-
both realities.
Hang on. Parallel world?
It's the same as this one, except you're dead.
Ça bug beaucoup, je trouve.
I can still save
Je ferai
Safi
peut-être une pause là après parce que
if I can solve and prevent the same murder across 2 timelines.
ah, attendez. Ah, je sais pas, le live il bug beaucoup. Je sais pas si c'est moi ou. Ça m'a l'air de bugger pas mal quand même, hein. Je vais essayer de le regarder comme ça pour voir, sans wifi. Pour voir si ça fait pareil. Bon, là, ça a l'air de fonctionner correctement. Ouais, je sais pas. Du coup, on reprend.
Life is Strange Double Exposure is a thrilling narrative adventure game where you investigate a supernatural murder mystery. You play as Max Caulfield, a photographer and artist in residence at Caledon University, a prestigious college in upstate Vermont. When Max's new best friend, Safi, is found murdered in mysterious circumstances, Max discovers she has the supernatural ability to shift back and forth between 2 timelines. In one timeline, Safi is dead, but in the other, she's still alive and still in danger.
Oh shit.
Max realizes the killer will soon strike again in both versions of reality. Max and the player will use her new shift power to explore 2
stylé.
versions of this vivid
c'est
winter
stylé.
campus. As you forge allies and pursue suspects across 2 versions of reality, you'll shape both timelines through your unforgettable choices. But
ça,
it's a race against time.
c'est la
A
force, hein,
relentless detective has Max in
série.
his sights, and Safi's killer grows closer with every clue uncovered. With Max's new power to shift between 2 timelines, can you solve and prevent the same murder?
Wild, right?
Là, ça bug encore le live, hein. Ah, c'est bien le 29 octobre, hein, c'est ce qui me semblait.
Murder mysteries, a narrative genre full of thrilling stories and intense action, scattered with red herrings and the inevitable climactic twist. But what happens when elements of the supernatural become involved, making the mystery at hand seemingly impossible to solve? And how do you write something so complex? I'm chatting with game director Jonathan Stouter and narrative director Felice Kwan to learn how they crafted Life is Strange Double Exposure's supernatural murder mystery. Jonathan and Felice, it is so wonderful to be here with you. How does it feel now that you can finally talk about Life is Strange Double Exposure?
It has definitely been exciting to finally get to talk about what Tech9's been working on these past few years, and we get to talk more about the game today.
We are excited for fan theories about what's going on in the trailer.
Oh, we're going to have a lot of theories. We're going to have a lot of theories, trust me, because a mystery is afoot, right? Mm-hmm. And that is the core premise of the game?
Right. But not just a murder mystery, it's a supernatural murder mystery. What initially starts as a whodunit in terms of the crime very quickly becomes a how could this have even happened? How is this even possible sort of crime? And then you, as the player, as Max, are uniquely suited to use your time powers to solve this crime.
Oh, can you tell me about Max, who she is and why she has time powers?
Right, so Max Caulfield, famous photographer, artist in residence at Caledon University, which is the setting of our game.
She's come to Caledon University to start afresh, to build a life that's separate from a past that she doesn't really want to think about anymore. But unfortunately for her, this mystery lands in her lap.
So Felice, can you set the scene for us? Because we've got mysterious pasts at play, but then also this is a very unusual murder mystery, right?
Right. So it is almost holiday break, dead of winter. Max walks up a hill and finds her friend Safi dead in the snow, seconds after seeing Safi talking on the phone. There are no footprints, there's no weapon. Police are completely stumped as to how it could have happened.
So there's not really any evidence or leads to go by. How do you solve a murder mystery like this? What tools might you have?
Luckily, Max unlocks a supernatural ability. She is able to shift from the current timeline into a parallel timeline where her friend Safi is alive. And fans of the first game will recognize this as kind of an evolution of her rewind power. And why exactly that has happened is at the heart of the story.
What the hell was that?
So my understanding is there are two timelines at play here, one in which Safi is still alive, and the other, she's been murdered. If I'm Max, why don't I just stay in the timeline where she's still alive?
Because Max will very quickly discover the killer is still at large in the timeline where Safi is alive. And so, using her new supernatural abilities, Max will have to both solve and prevent the same crime across two timelines.
So we're dealing with two timelines and a race against time to stop a killer before they kill again. This seems like it was very complicated to write.
It was really complicated. It was also very interesting because Max meets essentially two versions of every person that she's investigating, two versions of the environment, and these will both differ in ways that are significant because of Safi's death. It is also kind of bittersweet because even the people that Max is growing closer to, like Moses, there's two versions of him as well, and she needs to navigate that.
Can you tell us a bit more about Moses?
Yeah. So Moses is Safi's best friend, and he's an astrophysicist at this college. And because of his science background, he might be the only person who can help Max understand what's going on with her powers. And the two of them grow closer through this investigation. But Max has to wrestle with if she's ready to open up and tell someone about her powers for the first time in years.
Now, Jonathan, I can imagine that the multiple timelines also really lends itself to some interesting gameplay. Mm-hmm. What can we expect?
Well, so Max's ability to shift between the two timelines open up a whole slew of new gameplay possibilities for us. And so Max will be navigating between different versions of the same space impacted by Safi's death, and she'll be able to use these powers to circumnavigate puzzles, discover clues about suspects she might not otherwise have access to, in addition to navigating these different relationships in each space.
Oh, so like maybe in one timeline a door is closed, in another it's been unlocked, but it sort of depends on how you play the game, right?
Right.
Or Max can make sure that it is unlocked.
Oh, now we're learning. I'm going to write this down in advance. And you mentioned earlier that this is described as a quote-unquote impossible murder that only Max can solve. Why is that?
Because Max can talk to the murder victim. She's the only person who can do that, and it's her relationship with Safi that's the key to solving it.
Safi's alive.
Max, are you okay? It kind of seems like you're on drugs.
Huh? Oh. No, I'm just really happy you're here with me. And your mom.
So, drugs then.
So let's talk about Max's incredible new ability to bend time. Give us the lowdown on that.
Right. So Max has the ability to tear the fabric between these two timelines and instantaneously travel between them. We call it shifting.
That's a lot of responsibility, and that's a lot of power. Where does it come from? Because we know Max to have had powers in the past, right?
Yeah, she actually does not have her rewind powers anymore. She has not used it because of the trauma associated with it and fear of what might happen. And so when Safi is murdered, she can't rewind. It's like losing fluency in a language. But she does care enough about Safi that she's willing to use the new version of her power, the shifting, to try to help her friend. But why that has happened is Max doesn't know. It's kind of at the heart of the story.
So is Max kind of thrown by having this new power, or is she sort of old hat at this? She's like, yeah, I've just got another power, pile it on.
She definitely at first, she needs to use the power to investigate how the power works before she can even start to investigate the murder. So right off the bat, she is concerned, is this some version of rewind? Have I gone back in time? She doesn't know. And so she starts traversing the timelines, pulsing and listening in on folks across the veil and deducing how her power works.
Okay, so this pulse power, is that the thing that she does where it's kind of like an aura coming out of her fingertips and she can,
goes up?
What's that?
Right, so Max can extend her supernatural senses to detect where the veil is weakest between the two timelines, the spots where she can shift. And in doing that, she can also grab a glimpse of other people, key objects across the timeline without having to shift, which comes in really handy when you're a detective and you want to eavesdrop and snoop and track suspects.
So when she uses the pulse, she kind of like takes this glimpse into the two timelines, can make an assessment and then choose which one to shift into. How does the shift work?
Right, so when Max has identified one of these weak points between the timelines, we call them shift spots, she can use the shifting ability to instantaneously travel to the other timeline. So in a flash, she is instantaneously transported to the opposite version of the environment, different non-playable characters around, and so she's able to use that to traverse puzzles, circumnavigate locked doors, suspects that won't talk to her in one timeline but will in another.
Oh, so like, is it apparent to the player, yeah, I'm in this timeline where Safi's still alive, or I'm in this one where Safi's dead? Like, how will I know? I will like confuse myself playing this.
So
does Max get confused?
She does.
Okay.
She absolutely does get confused. And along the way, she has to learn what's different between the two timelines along with the player. But Safi's death not just reverberates through the relationships on campus, but also through the environment. And we reflect this in different ways, different set dressing, different audio, different lighting. The weather patterns change, it's the butterfly effect. And so Safi's death has this immense impact that creates two distinctly different timelines.
I do think that it will be really clear to both Max and the player where she's at. At the same time, she's juggling twice as many social interactions and twice as many clues. So she absolutely messes up. It's a lot of fun for Max to try to keep all that straight.
Right, so she'll have to keep an eye out for dialogue choices, because if you're not paying attention, you might stumble into Max being confused about the timeline, whereas if you're on your game, you can avoid those little faux pas in a conversation.
I'm sorry. I was being nosy. I don't know why. Probably just paranoid.
You think? Jesus, Max. Get your shit together.
And also, we're on a college campus, so she's supposed to be using this power to be solving a murder mystery. But I imagine there's probably also a lot of drama that filters through.
And she's an artist in residence, so she's supposed to be this mentor figure to the students who are still there on holiday break. But at the same time, it would be really useful to manipulate these students to solve this mystery. So she is juggling a lot.
So Max Caulfield, who has been so closed off for so long, now has to be like, okay, I have to juggle all these new social situations and put myself out there. It sounds like this is going to be a big learning experience for Max.
Now I have more impossible questions than I had to begin with.
I have to ask because I'm just so curious, which came first, the idea for Max?
Pardon, je remets juste en 4K parce que des fois la vidéo... C'est un peu chelou. Je pense que j'ai peut-être des problèmes de connexion.
To have this timeline,
ouais, c'est quand même un peu plus beau là.
Or...
Oh là là, attends, 4K c'est peut-être un peu abusé en fait. Oh la vache. C'est peut-être pas mettre en 4K finalement. On va mettre 1080, ça sera très bien. Je pense que là ça devrait aller.
Did your team just want to experiment with the idea of multiple timelines?
We have been interested in multiple timelines for a while because of that gameplay possibilities. But I think it wasn't until we were exploring Max's story that it really clicked how we could do it in a way that felt absolutely